Thanks, Rita. You're watching South East Today. Our top story tonight. 4 more deaths at sea as illegal crossings continue tonight. We look at this latest tragedy and the efforts to stop the people smuggling trade.
I think it's absolutely essential that we get joint patrols on French shores, a joint security zone across the Channel, and that together with France we bring an end to the small boats crossings.
We have reaction from Westminster after new migration measures were announced by Rishi Sunak yesterday. We're live with our political editor. Parents say their children's mental health is being affected by the abrupt closure of a special education school in Sussex. And he may be cute, but don't cuddle him. A new baby bear arrives at the Wildwood Trust after being rejected by his parents. Hello. 4 people have died and 43 others have been rescued after a small boat carrying migrants got into difficulties in the Channel in the early hours of this morning. More than 30 of those rescued off the Kent coast had to be pulled from the water. The major search and rescue operation was launched after the boat got into trouble off the coast of Dungeness. In tonight's programme, we'll be looking at the people smuggling trade, the efforts to stop it, and how people continue to die while making the dangerous crossing. But first, Piers Hopkirk reports on today's unfolding events. You may find some of these images distressing.
Hoisted aboard from their sinking vessel, these were the fortunate few. Cold and terrified, they were rescued by a passing fishing boat. 30 others were plucked from the sea after their inflatable craft collapsed mid-channel.
You know, our guys, it's just amazing how they managed to get 31 onto the Arcturus, and you know, the skipper was absolutely fantastic, and the crew piled them in the shower, hot water on them, tried to warm them up.
4 others were not so lucky, perishing after fighting for their lives in the freezing water. Another tragedy in the Channel, another day of grief in Dover.
It's heartbreaking. You know, it really hits home just how desperate these people are to attempt to make this crossing in such freezing cold conditions. You know, we've seen constant below freezing temperatures. At 3:30 this morning, it would have been pitch black and just absolutely terrifying. You know, and I think that just goes to show just how desperate these people are.
The alarm was raised just after 3 o'clock this morning, prompting a huge rescue operation. Lifeboats from Hastings, Dungeness, Dover and Ramsgate joining the search, along with helicopters from Lydd and Leon Solent.
Conditions this morning were absolutely treacherous in the wintry seas. That boat shouldn't have been in the water in the first place, and it's been an absolutely tragic situation to have occurred.
I'm afraid, people still see the lure of the White Cliffs of Dover from the beaches of Calais, and are prepared to pay money to smugglers who will put them in these unsafe vessels.
This morning, one lifeboat returned to Dover with the grim task of bringing bodies ashore before returning to the search. By now, the hope of finding survivors receding fast. In Parliament today, tributes to the rescue effort.
Mr. Speaker, I'm sure the whole House will share my sorrow at the capsizing of a small boat in the Channel in the early hours of this morning and the tragic loss of human life. Our hearts go out to all those affected and our tributes to those involved in the extensive rescue operation.
Mr. Speaker, these are the days that we dread. Crossing the Channel in unseaworthy vessels is a lethally dangerous endeavour.
It's a reminder that the criminal gangs running those routes put the lives of the desperate at risk and profit from their misery.
Today, a remarkable rescue. 43 saved, but 4 lives lost, in yet another stark reminder of the danger of small boat crossings and the need for a solution before yet more lives are lost.
And Piers is live in Dover for us now. Piers, that search and rescue operation still continuing tonight.
That's right, Ellie. I understand that the search operation will continue until 9 o'clock tonight. The reason for that is that I understand that there could be 4 people still unaccounted for. The difficulty the search teams have, of course, is that this was an illegal, unsanctioned crossing. So there is no passenger list. There's no real idea of who and how many were on board at the time. As for those 43 survivors, they're being looked after at hospitals across Kent. I'm sure grateful to be alive, but equally deeply traumatised at what must have been a truly terrifying night last night. Equally amongst the search teams and the people I spoke to today, no sense of triumphalism at the lives saved, instead grief at the loss of 4 lives after what was a bleak night out in the Channel.
Piers Hopkirk, thank you very much. Well, the tragedy comes just a day after Rishi Sunak unveiled new measures in a bid to curb the rise in these crossings. More than 44,000 migrants have reached the UK by boat this year. In 2021, the total was 28,526. In 2020, it was 8,404.
It's shock and horror. It shows why this traffic isn't only a political issue, if you like. It's a very real human issue. It's an extremely dangerous way to try and get to this country, and the more we can do to stop it, the better.
From October 2021 to the end of August, 90% of those who arrived have applied for asylum. In the year to September, the UK received more than 72,000 asylum applications relating to almost 86,000 people. Small boat arrivals are roughly half of these. Of the small boat arrivals who have received an initial decision since 2018, 53% were granted asylum or another type of leave to remain. The rest were refused. Well, we're joined by our political editor, Charlotte Wright, who is live in Westminster for us. Charlotte, the Home Secretary, we heard, has reiterated her determination to crack down on the trade, and of course her predecessors have also tried. What's been the reaction there today to this tragedy?
Well, look, I think there is shock, but I don't think people are surprised here in Westminster. This is something that South East MPs have been constantly warning of, and the government has repeatedly said that they are going to stop these small boat crossings. And yet, despite announcement after announcement, nothing seems to be working. It's something that I put to the East Worthing and Shoreham MP, who sits on the Home Affairs Committee, a little earlier.
Well, this tragedy today, frankly, obviously our sympathies go with the victims and the families, and to the rescue teams who, again, have performed incredibly well. Frankly, it's a miracle that we've not had more tragedies like this. This is the first loss of life we know about in British territorial waters from the small boats, and that's a testimony to the professionalism of Border Force, RNLI, Coast Guard and the others. But it just goes to underline, I'm afraid, that whatever you think about the role of asylum seekers or others coming to this country, coming across in small boats, the most dangerous, busy shipping lane in the world, at the hands of criminal gangs, is the worst possible way to get into the United Kingdom. So that has got to be stopped at all costs. They've got to be deterred from coming across. They've got to be stopped from getting to the boats in the first place. And the message has to go out: this is not the way to try to come to the United Kingdom.
And yet everything the government is doing to try to stop them, the Rwanda plan, the Nationality and Borders Act, which came in April and meant to criminalise people coming across, it doesn't seem to be deterring people, does it?
Well, the system hasn't worked, and that's why the announcements by the Prime Minister yesterday were so important. This is really, really urgent, and today's tragic events have just underlined that. So we have got to have proper deterrents so that people, if they are choosing to come across in that way, it will be a lottery whether they end up in a hotel in Kent or on a plane to Rwanda, which is why the Rwanda scheme has got, or an equivalent, has got to be up and running as a major deterrent. We need to change the law so that people who come across illegally in this way will not be able to claim for asylum and other rights that they are at the moment. But that's why, juxtaposed to that, we do need to resurrect the safe and legal routes, which I've been going on about for some time, so that there is no excuse for people with a genuine claim to come to the United Kingdom, genuinely escaping danger and oppression with links to the United Kingdom. There are ways of them coming to the UK that don't involve paying people traffickers and taking this really perilous journey. And today's events have just underlined how urgent that is.
Well, as part of those new government measures that were unveiled yesterday, Tim Lawton touched on them there. They say that they will be introducing new legislation early next year to make it unambiguously clear that if someone comes to the UK illegally, as they put it, they should not be able to remain here. So I don't think we can expect a change in direction of government policy when it comes to this issue anytime soon, but do expect some new announcements from them in the new year.
Charlotte, right, thank you very much for that. Well, small boat crossings is a relatively new way of migrants reaching the UK. Just before the turn of the millennium, people began moving to Calais to try and reach the UK. Later, the French Red Cross built the Sangatte camp, which was closed in 2002, but migrants remained there, and a new camp, dubbed the Jungle, was built in 2015 and then cleared in 2016. Then migrants would try and get onto lorries en route to the ferries. The Eurotunnel terminal at Cakel was also scaled, but as our special correspondent Colin Campbell reports, the methods soon changed.
Crawling beneath a Dover-bound lorry in France, then sitting on its axle. For 2 years, I've witnessed the terrifying, desperate attempts migrants take to try to reach these shores.
You are risking your lives by getting on this truck.
It doesn't matter. We don't care anyway. Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Look, just down there. Breaking into trucks leaving France was the most common route here. But on a winter's night in 2018, we documented the start of a new, dangerous, worrying trend, the emergence of small boat crossings.
The plain fact is that nothing the government has put forward is going to make any difference. It hasn't made a difference in the last year. It's just over a year ago that more than 30 people lost their lives in the Channel. Here we are, more than 12 months later, the same situation, and that just shows how the government's approach is fundamentally flawed.
Despite an array of government policies from successive ministers, more than 70,000 people have made the perilous journey in motorised dinghies. Video footage of the boats used in the crossings we gained in 2020 gave for the first time a sense of the sheer scale of the problem.
It needs to ask itself, why are mothers and fathers getting in these boats with their children in order to seek to come to the United Kingdom? It is because they know that until they are in the country, they cannot claim asylum.
People smugglers who it's claimed have fueled the problem by advertising their services on social media platforms, an issue we exposed earlier this year.
I cannot do any less than £2,800.
Criminals who we came face to face with in Dunkirk in October, who many believe have blood on their hands.
Well, Colin is here with us now. Colin, so if the people smugglers are stopped, it doesn't necessarily end the problem, does it?
No, I think it's fair to say some migrants will make their way here no matter what. And in the past, we have heard of isolated cases of migrants stealing boats in France, buying boats and even paddling across the Channel in canoes. But the government is firmly putting the blame on the smuggling gangs, the organised criminal networks who are organising these small boat crossings. This afternoon, we spoke to one French politician who said he believes it is simply impossible, though, to stop these small boats launching from French beaches.
Unfortunately, such a tragedy was to be expected, and it can happen again at any time during the winter. The only bilateral agreements between English and French will not be enough to avoid such accidents. It is impossible to monitor all day and all night 175 kilometers of coast.
Well, some charities here are blaming the government for not providing enough safe routes of entry to refugees who are fleeing war and persecution. The government, though, say that is simply untrue. They say there are a number of different schemes available to help refugees and say they have provided settlement to around 25,000 refugees since 2015. And they say that is more than any other European country.
Colin, thank you. And you can see more reaction on this on the BBC News website. There'll also be more coverage on BBC Radio Kent from 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. In other news, 3 people have been taken to hospital after a car crashed into a cafe in Seaford. Police and paramedics were called to Broad Street at around 12:30 this afternoon. Officers remain at the scene and say inquiries are continuing. Rail workers have walked out for a second day running as members of the RMT union went on strike again in a dispute about jobs, pay and conditions. Southern and South Eastern ran very limited services. Trains and crews are expected to be out of position tomorrow morning, meaning a late start. And then there are more strikes on Thursday and Friday. A drug dealer who moved cocaine and heroin between London and Hastings has been jailed for more than 12 years. Abdirahim Elmi pleaded guilty to supplying the drugs and also admitted a charge of grievous bodily harm after leaving a woman in St Leonard's with significant facial injuries. Parents of children with special educational needs, including autism and ADHD, who attend a school in West Sussex, say bosses who are closing it are playing with their children's mental health. Brantridge School in Haywards Heath will close its secondary provision in the summer because plans to build a replacement on the site have stalled. Ed Cook reports.
Noah, Aidan and Ewan love getting together after school and spending time together. The 11-year-olds also love their school.
This is the best school I've ever been to by far. It's really nice because everybody is helpful. All the teachers are helpful and they're really nice.
I've been there since I was in year 2 because I was finding it tricky in my other school and I've made lots of friends.
Whenever we need to step away from the classroom, they always let us step away from the classroom.
But Brantridge in Haywards Heath, which educates children with academic and behavioural needs, is closing its secondary education from next July. Brantridge had hoped to build a secondary school on site by 2024, but now that target won't be met.
We're very disappointed because you think you found the right school. Our children all have different behavioural needs, educational needs, and they're accepted at this school. A part of the whole Brantridge ethos they've come up through the years there. We've had to use his bedroom as safe spaces because he's been trying to hurt himself or hurt us. He's been trying to run away. He's been trying, he deflects a lot of his emotions and we're getting the brunt of it, and a lot of these families will be getting the brunt of it as well.
The difficulty we would have is to have to wait for a placement, a suitable placement, which is why Brantridge would have been absolutely perfect because they know his needs, they meet his needs, and he's currently happy there.
In a statement, West Sussex County Council, which runs Brantridge, said it is still their intention to build a new school in the future. Landowners Greenwich Council say the site is allocated for educational purposes. And that leaves parents needing to find a specialist school where places are limited and face travelling long distances.
It would come down to being home educated until a suitable placement is found. We reside in Surrey. It's a 45-minute journey as it is for him to come to Brantridge School, and there currently isn't many schools available to meet his needs.
Ed Cook, BBC South East Today, Haywards Heath.
It's 6:20. A reminder of our top story tonight. 4 people have died and 43 others have been rescued after their small boat carrying migrants got into difficulties in the Channel overnight. A major search and rescue operation was launched involving both French and British emergency services.
And it's a bitter evening out there with more cold weather to come tomorrow. But down the road, there's signs of milder weather in the outlook. I'll tell you more later on in the programme.
You can have your say by going to Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, and you can also see more news and videos from across Kent, Sussex and Surrey on the BBC News website. Wildwood Trust has welcomed a new resident to its site in Herne Bay, a 10-month-old bear cub. Bocky was hand-raised after he was rejected by his family at Portlim Safari Park. He now joins Wildwood's 2 other rescue bears, with the charity looking to add another member to the group soon. Louisa Pilbeam has been to see him in his new home.
Bocky the bear was keen to sniff out his new home and take a look around. The 11-month-old brown bear is a new addition to Wildwood Conservation Trust in Kent, and the charities say he's here for his own protection.
we'd love to see Bocky and lots of bears out in the wild, but the bears that we have here have all come from situations where their lives needed to be improved one way or another. We've got 2 older bears, Fluff and Scruff, that came from Bulgaria. They were unfortunately kept in what they call a canned hunting facility. They were literally kept to be hunted at some point.
Bocky was born at Port Lim Safari Park, but his mother rejected him, so he needed to find new bears to build a life with. And his keepers say he seems happy already.
He's really, really playful. So he loves to climb, he loves to play. He's got one of the boys, the swimming boys, on the post, so he loves to bat that around. Yeah, he's quite interested in swimming, so his pool that he has here is actually deeper than what he had at Port Lim.
And visitors will soon get the opportunity to get up close to Bocky and actually feed him. So I'm going to give it a go now. Give him a peanut. Oh, Bocky. Oh. And it's important that Bocky, or Boki as he's sometimes called, is able to interact with adult bears who are currently sleeping a lot.
Boki is getting us to interact with at the moment, but come March, when our boys start to wake up and they start venturing out a bit more, it's the best stimulation for him, because he'll actually see adult bears right outside and they can get within 2 feet of each other.
And while this isn't the wild, the keepers here say it's the best way to protect a bear who's grown up around humans. And the hope is they'll find him a mate to build his own family when he's older. Louisa Pilbeam, BBC South East Today, Wildwood, Kent.
Oh, how sweet. Now, Sunday's snowfall may have been disruptive, certainly, but it also complemented all those Christmas lights and decorations beautifully, and nowhere more so than Farm Close in East Grinstead, where all the residents have festooned their homes in them for charity. And Lucinda Adam is there for us right now. Hello, Lucinda. So we're talking a lot of lights, aren't we? Is everyone on the street obliged to get involved with this?
They certainly are, Ellie. We are talking a lot of lights. I haven't counted, but I can guarantee there are literally thousands upon thousands of lights of all different colour around me here in Farm Close, and they're all twinkling and sparkling and looking beautiful. And they look so Christmassy after this natural covering of snow that they've had here. And yes, one number I can give you is 12. There are 12 houses here in Farm Close, and every single neighbour has got involved, even some newcomers. And as they told me earlier, it's all in the name of raising money for charity and community spirit.
They just moved in and my mum was like, oh, I think we need to go buy some Christmas lights. And I went, oh, okay, just get a few. I don't think you understand. We need to go buy a lot of Christmas lights.
We do warn them before they buy the house. You've got to put Christmas lights up or don't move here.
We have visitors coming and seeing the lights, and it's just really cool. It just feels like a really positive community.
Well, I'm joined now by Cyril Curtis, who is the neighbour who encourages the others along. So how did this get started?
Well, it all started in the millennium. We all got together for a street party, and one of the things we decided was to put a string of lights up on every house just to make it more cheerful. And it's just grown from there. We've built on it year after year, and now it's, as you see it now, we're resplendent.
It looks absolutely fantastic, but neighbours come and go. What happens when new people move in?
Yes, we've had 2 or 3 new people join us, and they all seem to embrace it and join in. Yeah, not a problem, not a problem.
And
I think they know about it anyway.
You've started raising money now. How much have you raised so far?
We're very nearly £4,000, but that's probably over the last 4 years. So, yeah, if you want to donate, you can do it online for us. Farm Close, just giving Farm Close Christmas lights online.
Fantastic. And have you ever had snow like this before?
Not as bad as this, no. We had a little flurry.
As bad or as good?
As good, really. It does make them look shinier, I think, better.
And is there any sense of competition between the houses?
No, we're all in it together. We just get on so well. It's just very good.
It's absolutely wonderful, a fantastic community project. Thank you so much. The lights displays will stay up here until the new year. Anyone is welcome to come and see them, and you can donate online.
Thank you very much, Lucinda. Isn't that lovely? And set off to perfection by the snow, which is all going to melt soon, isn't it, John Hammond?
Yes, it is, Ellie. In fact, in a week's time, it'll be a fading memory. Of course, we have differing opinions about the snow, don't we? Some of us can't get enough of it, in which case fill your boots over the next couple of days because it won't last that much longer. Others of you, I know, can't wait to see the back of it. Well, yeah, we are going to see some changes, but not just yet. It's a bitterly cold night out there already, so whatever snow you've got on the ground is going to stick for a while longer, and particularly where you've got the snow cover, I'm expecting some severe frost over the next couple of nights. But as I mentioned, there are signs of change. A couple more fine, crisp, cold days, but then, yeah, much milder air sweeping in through this weekend. The catch is we will see some wet weather too. No rain tonight. In fact, no snow. There might be the odd flurry just clipping the east coast of Kent, but basically dry and very frosty indeed. And as we've seen in the last few nights, ice will be an issue, particularly on the side roads and the pavements. A very slippery, crunchy start again tomorrow. And just like today, that frost will barely lift. Despite a dazzling day of blue sky and sunshine, temperatures will only crawl up towards zero, and in some places, well, they probably won't make it. Typically around about 2 or 3 degrees. It'll be warmest, or should I say least cold, around some exposed coast, but inland, particularly where you've got that snow cover, it'll probably stay below freezing for much, if not all, of the day. And we head into frost yet again tomorrow night, followed on Friday by another crisp, sunny but cold day. Temperatures might be a notch higher, but only a notch higher. Basically, it's still well below what we'd normally expect at this time of year. Then there are signs of change as we head towards the weekend. Now, there's some uncertainty about the timing of that change, but it does look as if southerly winds are going to arrive on Saturday, and by Sunday, whoosh, really wet weather sweeping in across the country. Some snow further north, but for us it will just be plain old wet and windy, but warm. This wedge of warmth is going to cross us through the early part of next week. Big question mark still about how long that hangs around, and the possibility that cold air will come back in during the course of the Christmas period. So watch this space. If you're dreaming of a white Christmas, don't stop dreaming just yet. But in the short term, after a couple more chilly days, it turns much warmer and much wetter through the weekend and through the early part of next week. Ellie.
We can start discussing whether it's going to be a white Christmas or not as of Monday. Thank you very much, John. Thank you. That's it from me. Ian Palmer will be back with your late news at 10:30, but for now, we'll go back to East Grinstead to look at those lovely Christmas lights. Bye-bye.